President, thank you very much for accepting this invitation to have a discussion in the context of the Rising Africa magazine. So a couple of questions. The Canadian Council on Africa is planning a mission to Nigeria this year. And what would you say to convince Canadian companies that they should be joining this mission to Nigeria?
Well, thank you very much. It's always a pleasure to be here in Canada, particularly in Quebec. I was here not quite 6 months ago, so here am I again. Well, of course, for us in Nigeria, relationship with Canada dated back to even the time of our colonial period. So we have become, we practice the same law, British type of law, the same system. So from that point of view, whatever we do in Nigeria should not be strange to Canada. And for that reason, I would say the Canadian companies should first of all be at home in Nigeria as a result of the fact that our rules, laws, regulations are similar because they emanated from the same source. The second point that I will make is that Nigeria, with a population of over 170 million today, is the largest country in Africa. In fact, the largest black nation in the world. That in itself must make any company, any Canadian company who wants to do business in Africa to see Nigeria as the first port of call because of our population. People will not stop at that. They will go on to say, yes, we are second largest economy in Africa. But it's a matter of time we will become the largest economy in Africa. We have all that it takes to achieve that. We have talk of the population. What of natural resources? Land for agriculture particularly, in addition to oil and gas, other minerals that are available. And let me talk a little bit about agriculture, because that is what I do. Either it's my profession, it's my occupation, it's also my hobby. And what I will say is that if any country has something to give us in the area of agriculture, Canada has, because you have practiced what we call agribusiness, and you have really excelled in it. I came to this country many years ago, and somebody said, "What are you?" I say, "I am a farmer." And when I told him what I'm really doing, he said, "No, you are not a farmer. You are in agribusiness." So and I believe that that is, in fact, what we need more and more in Nigeria and indeed in Africa. The value chain, making sure that we are not stopping at commodity. We add value until it gets to the table, or until it gets exported in a processed form, not in just a commodity form. So, of course, manufacturing, there are a number of other areas, infrastructure. One of our challenges in Africa and in Nigeria particularly is infrastructure. But rather than see it as a challenge, they should also see it as an opportunity.
Opportunity, absolutely.
So, there are manufacturing, there's housing, there's ICT, there's even logistics, transportation, warehousing, storage. There's so many things that you have done well here that companies in Canada can do in our part of the world.
Absolutely.
In Nigeria.
I was down in Nigeria at the beginning of the year, actually, with a trade mission with Mr. Fast. And I remember having discussions about your mining sector also, which is actually probably underdeveloped a lot.
Very much so, very much so. When I was in government and I wanted to go into what we now call solid mineral, as opposed to oil and gas, I remember the first thing that Templesman told me that, look, where are your laws? Where are your regulations? Where are your maps that will give an indication of what we have? I said, oh, we need all those. And they said, well, where can I get help? So I go to the go to the World Bank. And that was when we actually started doing and providing what the investor needs to be able to take decision on investment in solid minerals in Nigeria. But the opportunities are open and wide.
No, absolutely. You've had the, your presidential functions and you're being co-chair of the Forum Africa, which everybody appreciates you taking the time to do. You've obviously had a chance to talk with Canadian entrepreneurs and to be involved on the Canadian side of things. Any aspects or strengths of Canadian entrepreneurs that you think you could bring an added value to Nigeria from what you've seen in the last couple of days or from your experience?
Well, nothing succeeds like success. And there are great Canadian entrepreneurs in different shapes and sizes and forms, small, medium, large, that are shining successes. And that's what we want to be able to achieve in Nigeria. Entrepreneurs at different levels of returns, of equity, ownership, but that are successful. And that is one thing we need to imbibe. That's one thing we need to learn, and that's one thing that we need to encourage Canadian entrepreneurs to impact into us in Nigeria and indeed in Africa. That we have seen.
Absolutely.
It's, you don't need to look too deep or too far. It is there. And what is there, we want it to be brought to Africa and indeed to Nigeria. And there's no reason why it shouldn't.
You're absolutely right. According to the Nigeria Economic Report by the World Bank, the annual growth rates that average over 7% in official data during the last decade placed Nigeria among the fastest growing economies in the world. A big part of this boom was under your presidency. What was put in place by your administration that contributed to that major economic growth?
I would put it, if you ask me in one word, I would say reform. And that reform is all embracing, all encompassing. Reform at the political level. Democracy came in and we nurtured it and we continue to nurture it. Good governance, which is part of reform or part of democracy. Public service reform, how to change the mentality and the orientation of public servants to know that helping private sector is a duty is their responsibility. Private sector used to be seen as people who want to reap from where they did not sow. No, that's not it. Now they are the ones that are driving the economy. The public sector should be seen as providing the conducive environment and atmosphere for private sector to do business. And that became accepted, acknowledged, and what we follow. And we say, look, all the doors are open. One of the things that used to happen is that you come to Nigeria to register a business, may take you 3 months to register a business, but then we'll have one-stop shop where you come in, everything you want, you can get under one roof, and you do your registration, the permit you want, pioneer certificate, registration, whatever, get it under one roof. And, so these are some of the things we did, and then we encourage foreign investors, and we told them that you are a king. If you have money, if you have things to invest in Nigeria, we'll see you as a king. And of course, I used to say farmers are kings in Nigeria, but I then add to it that just as farmers are kings, investors are also kings in Nigeria. And it boomed. That's really what we did. I think, as I said, in one word, reform. In one word, making or in a phrase, not business as usual, so that we change the way we did business, and it paid off.
When you look back on your career as president, are there any special items that come up that you're particularly proud of, or that are warm in your heart when you look back?
I would say agriculture, because in those years, particularly between the year 2003 and 2007, we paid a lot of attention to agriculture, and it paid off. For instance, production of cocoa in 2003 was about, our total production was about 150,000 metric tons. By 2007, we have reached over 400,000 metric tons. So it can be done, and it is done. We made similar progress in production of grains, production of tuber like cassava. And so when you talk of 7% growth, it was not even oil and gas. It was other areas of the economy. Telecommunication, ICT, agricultural, manufacturing. We even have something now that they call Nollywood. This is films made in Nigeria, which is being shown all over Africa and indeed outside Africa. Now these are things that made that 7% possible.
It's interesting because my next question was going to say that the Nigerian non-oil economy has grown by 240% over a decade. And I guess some of the areas that you've described are the ones that had the greatest growth. So that's quite a...
And we also, another thing we did, which has helped, is we encourage even Nigerian investors. Because, of course, if a foreign investor comes to a country, what he will want to see is, well, are there local investors that are doing okay? And how are they doing? Now, that's important. We now have Nigerian investors in the last 12 to 15 years, the way we have never had them before. We have Nigerians who, Nigerian companies who in their own right can be called multinationals. Multinationals in Africa, and some have even ventured beyond Africa. So it is good. And therefore, foreign investors can come in and say, well, look, if local investors are doing well, there's no reason why we too should not do well. And that is what is happening.
Absolutely. Let me finish with one last question. How do you think Nigeria can one day achieve becoming one of the top 20 economies in the world, let's say by year 2020? I know that's a big objective.
Yeah, well, the year 2020 objective was set by me. But one of the banes of economic development in Africa is lack of consistency, and lack of continuity. I believe Nigeria has slipped off since 2007 from being able to make 2020. But it is possible that if we cannot make 2020, as I had put in the strategic thinking and strategic planning, we shouldn't exceed it by more than 2 or 3 years. Now, what we need to do out there, now, whether we do them consistently, continuously, is the issue. Energy, infrastructure, water, transportation, these are issues and things that we must put in place to be able to make 2020, or if we cannot make 2020, maybe 2022 or 2023. But another thing that we must fight and deal with is the issue of corruption. I know that there is no country in the world that is free from that. In fact, yesterday somebody was telling me that this city has changed leadership so frequently in the recent past. But what is important is that whatever you may say about corruption, here, something is being done about it. That is very important. Provided corruption is not accepted as a way of life, Absolutely. It is important. And we need to ensure that corruption does not become endemic by not regarding it as something to be fought head on. Once it's not a way of life, then when somebody runs foul, is dealt with, then others will know that, yes, if you do it, you are caught, you will be in for a big job.
Do you have the impression that things are evolving as far as anti-corruption measures, generally speaking?
I think the infrastructure to deal with it is in place. We need the political will to be able to deal with it.
Absolutely. Mr. President, thank you very much. Appreciate your taking the time.
Thank you very much.
It's been a pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you.
And thanks again.